the media through this collaboration a database of medical doctors who have been trained by the Ghana Health Service. We beg of you that now is the time to spend time giving the scientists and the doctors airtime for them to talk science and facts to people. Now is the time to give the airtime and the front pages to the epidemiologists, for them to do a lot more public education. Now is not the time to empanel MPP and NDC. We all like politics, but that can wait. Now is not the time for social commentators who purport to know everything about everything. Now is the time to give airtime, front pages to the doctors, to the scientists, to the epidemiologists, for them to talk the science and facts and guide people. And so we are calling on our colleagues in the media through the GJA, GIBA, Primpact, as we are making these experts available to you. Please talk to your members, let them help us, particularly more airtime, more local languages to get the word to ground. And we're happy at your collaboration. We are happy to look forward to it going down some more. Now, the next one, traditional authorities remain a major pillar in securing local level compliance. The Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs has been drafted in to assist us get the support of traditional leaders in spreading the word and securing local level compliance. Minister Kofi Jamesi is responsible for chieftaincy. Please join us with a quick update on how you are going about that so that we can get the word to ground.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister of Information, also known as Nana de Urubohine of Ghana, Deputy Minister, ladies and gentlemen of the media, our Director General. Paramount chiefs are the arrowheads of traditional authority and therefore has wider reach and influence by virtue of their reference accorded them by their subjects. The threat and the prevalence of the COVID-19 implies an all-embracing approach, but particularly an approach that speaks the language best understood by the people in the various traditional areas. The support of traditional rulers, therefore, is much needed at this crucial time, as they are accustomed with all segments of our social structure in the various communities across the country. In other words, every city, every town, every village that you go to in this country, there's a chief. I wish to mention that the President of the National House of Chiefs, Togba Fede, the 14th, during their first meeting held in March, urged chiefs to play an active role in the fight against COVID-19, especially through educational campaigns. Most of our traditional rulers are abreast with the preventive protocols, and we encourage others to do so to enable them support in educating their subjects to stem the spread of the disease in their various communities. We have also heard from notable traditional rulers, Otumfo Nana Osetutu, the Yana, Dochinhine, Osumanche, Nana Nkasa Bwedu, just to mention a few who are helping their communities in different capacities to support government expediently fight this deadly pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, there are about 360 paramouncies spread in the country, with traditional councils under them. The country has over 600 traditional councils in the 16 regions. We are engaging the paramount chiefs together with queen mothers and subordinate chiefs to speak and engage the communities in sensitizing their subjects on the COVID-19 and its protocols laid down by government and the Ghana Health Service. Some paramount chiefs may also, through our national television stations and other broadcast media channels, make statements and add their voice to that of government, the Ghana Health Service, civil society, religious bodies, and all other well-meaning entities to emphasize the guidelines and protocols that all citizens must observe, as well as traditional practices that should be suspended by traditional practitioners. Queen mothers will be actively involved in ensuring other supports from government, that those supports are distributed equitably and to the vulnerable in their respective communities. Also, information, education, and communication materials on the COVID-19 protocols and emergency lines will be designed, printed, and shared to the paramedics to use as part of their sensitization efforts. Paramount chiefs may collaborate with municipal and district assemblies and the appropriate structures in their jurisdiction. I thank you very much for you. Thank you very much.
I want to say it in every for us very quickly. Very briefly.
Very briefly. Akpe adojina muntoba agba machitere mi aponkum ba maglonyare ka vado nami. So mi apo coronavirus ikeva dore mi adoma agba abale mi atomi nyana mi apo duklola nana do danko akufado edegbepa. So coronavirus yanchi hagoglomba nanoli udzaba miawo ikebana nimite wonumawo ka ava dore mi adoma mi atunwa kpa avaji ikwenye ba agba mi akugbo ba fisha fimi ya mi ade mi anonu daga amu magano ha susumo ikebana ovada fuba na dolala de la marantia okwiva na novia nana make udzaba mi akroshi fisha fi kana to adzagba ba na wodovo na kroshi alaba coronavirus amalere ashimnawo nana make mi akugbo ba sanitizer yolia mi do ihe azam alaba amashama kwenchina no kokwe kabi vazo nyebe le Ghana to koma fisha fi kana toko afiawoli ye Solomon hawo oholi vadushio oholi ple amabubo ta eva hia ba fifia mi agere afiaso hama akugbo ba neji nreka varo na mi afiawo alabo otampong na adomavio wose coronavirus agoma banade enye nane ke awunama menye nane ke avakwa ba waroko na tweko bo mazogerejo na zorejo afina nyaga afonu ike zozo fifila tienye ba na bare ka kweko ye nitampu na mama alo mi matampu gbobe amama odo dzese ye oplere doyopa ayodonchio na kakere duko kata moko kemi akata mi zo amakukuton ta mi ekukudam na duko kata ba nya jagbagba coronavirus ya dodoma amashama na senyama atu wodo emi o kata ko dziba mi awoko mi awolo akpena mi.
Minister, thank you. Just two final parts of this social mobilization part. One is to do with some more communication in local languages. I gave some hints earlier. The Honorable Pius Enam Hajide has been leading the effort to ensure that we get a lot more local languages spreading the word. Honorable Pius, please join me with a quick update on that. And then we'll talk about those who are distributing relief items and are creating more problems for us. Please join us.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers of State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. To deepen information dissemination on COVID-19 and to further carry the entire nation along as our country responds to and combat the deadly coronavirus, the Ministry of Information has engaged the services of the Bureau of Ghana Languages to translate all key communications into local languages. This includes the presidential broadcasts, the Ministry of Information press briefings, and all other policies and major announcements on COVID-19. The Bureau of Ghana Languages has translated these materials into 8 local languages, including Twi, Ewe, Ga, Dagbani, Hausa, Dagari, Nzima, and Kusao. These materials are being made available to all the 10 regional FM stations of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, all the 6 GBC television channels, all radio stations and TV stations across the country as content to support their programming. Radio and television stations are encouraged to use these materials to aid in the efforts at deepening public education and cooperation. The Information Service Department has just completed wave 1 of its public education campaign. And ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman in your shot, the one before this, the DIO of one of our districts, on his way back from one of our van broadcast public education campaigns, was involved in an accident. We invite you to remember him in your prayers. We also invite you to remember all other field officials in your prayers as they do this work. The earlier mentioned translated materials will further be used by the ISD and its collaborating agencies such as the NCCE, private sector assisting organizations and faith-based organizations that are involved with the public education campaign. These translations into the various local languages will also be deployed across the 30 information centers per district, as the information officers have been tasked to employ as part of the campaign.
You're watching our live coverage of the briefing from the Information Ministry. Apologies there, we lost our sound, but we'll take you back to the Information Ministry when we are able to work on that sound. In the studio with me is my colleague Winston Amwa. We'll give an overview of what has happened so far, Winston.
Yes, thank you very much, Mamavi. So, I started with Dr. Abuaje after the Information Minister talked about, the overview of government's efforts. He always would tell us about the 5 things that government sought to do when everything started. But it's important to look at Dr. Abuaje's statement. He starts from, the sub-Saharan region, talking about how South Africa has recorded about 2,000 cases with some 27 deaths. Then he talks about, the per capita per 1 million. So if you look at it in the Ghanaian sense, for instance, it talks about the fact that after the conclusion of other tests, when we are looking at some 44,421 of them, if we add everything, we're looking at having a per capita of 1,480 per 1 million. And this, he believes, is an indication that if you look at, the 30 million population that we have, we have to divide it to get this particular per capita. Clearly an indication that the Ghanaian government is testing a lot more, because there's been that conversation about the need to test more. And he says in sub-Saharan Africa, in Africa actually, we are #1, and in the world at large, we are number 14. What this means is that contrary to a lot of the arguments we've been making that we need to test and test and test, government of Ghana is actually ensuring that we are testing and testing and testing more people, as can be seen with these figures. But of course, the situation also is that we currently have 566. And listening to him carefully, he talks about the fact that, this is from the weekend. And so over the weekend, we had done all these analysis. We're still testing. And I am sure that by the time, maybe say tomorrow or so, we'll have new figures coming in.
Yeah.
But
on that note, Winston, just hold your thought there. We'll come back and do the analysis, but we'll have to take you back to the Ministry of Information. We've got sound now.
Piece of local government, any social protection. Edi nkratoa bakwan ebe faso etumi aduane ache mmoa enkonko fa asemba ebe sere ye ye internet platforms no so any social media yibina kan na hu kwan abe faso aye ye mpese bedum pempenso ya senia ya toto market bi mu se ye pese nkomoto ye de nanso omo observe social distance omo hwe mani pantiti omo nteminti ya to ye mpese bedum pempenso bi ebe ka se wonu ma eche aduane ni aboade krampo no ye mo majai wo baby empen te be sere mo se momma afutu about send any party to mo ntem na nya adwuma na amaya nkwanko dube be se ye kase musmunjai. We are in week 3 of the imposition of restrictions in Greater Accra, Greater Kumasi, and contiguous districts. The Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Armed Forces have been running a joint operation to enforce the restrictions if it becomes necessary to arrest persons who are being recalcitrant. This morning, I want to invite ACP Lydia Donko, who is head of Precautions in the Accra region of the Ghana Police Service, speaking on behalf of other heads of prosecutions in the 15 other regions about how they are now moving towards prosecutions of persons who are being recalcitrant and why you should ensure you don't get into that bucket. ACP, please join us.
Exempt. So the officers and men you see on the road on a daily basis have snap checkpoints, roadblocks, checking movements of people from place to place. They are enforcing the law and also engaging in some form of public education. So we have people in trotros, in buses. When they get to the checkpoints, the police officers on the road engage them and advise them on the need to stay safe and also remember all the protocols that are ensured to protect themselves from this deadly virus. However, there are definitely a good number of people who are recalcitrant. People are leaving their homes. People are still having parties. People are going to the beaches. People are having weddings, which are clearly in violation of what the Imposition of Restrictions Act says. So for these recalcitrant people who are failing to comply, the message is that you are going to be dealt with in accordance with the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2012. Such persons have been arrested, and after successful investigations, they are being prosecuted. The breakdown is as follows. So far around the country, 406 persons have been arrested. The message is that you are going to be dealt with in accordance with the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2012. Such persons have been arrested. After successful investigations, they are being prosecuted. The breakdown is as follows. So far around the country, 406 persons have been arrested. 103 are in custody. 248 have been granted bail, and 41 have been processed for court. I'm going to give the breakdown per region. So in the Greater Accra region, we have a total number of 161 cases. In the Ashanti region, we have 70 cases. In the Volta region, 67 cases. In the Western region, 8 cases. In the eastern region, we have 6 cases. In the region, we have 31 cases. In the Bono region, we have 20 cases. In the northern region, we have 9 cases. In the central region, we have 24 cases. In Oti region, no cases reported. In the Ahafo region, no cases. In the Savannah region, no cases. In the northeast region, we have 1 case. In the Upper East region, we have 8 cases. Upper East region, 2 cases. And the Western North region, 8 cases. And lastly, in the Bono East region, no cases. The Ghana Police Service wishes to advise the general public once again to comply with all the rules and regulations governing the Imposition of Restrictions Act. All my colleagues, head of legal and prosecutions in all the other regions, have been charged to ensure that they enforce Section 6 of the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, Act 1012. And I will state here, compelling you to go back home, ensure that you do not engage in any resistance with the officers. If you do that, you are going to be arrested, and definitely you will spend time in our custody and you will not be free to go home. So stay at home, stop the spread, and let's stay safe. Thank you.
ACP, thank you for that very quick brief. Their police lawyer Oba Penino any ebedi hun komoni say emra wo hwa ide adwuma ye cassette ne fia emra eta echiri sabria ye kase Ghana ha nyina nipa ahanan ani nsia na police for ache wom say emra ye dia agu akwan mu say omo ntena fia na say mo mpie ana say mo nye yie mo nye parties eye de em say se woni nkran ne kuma say awutumi ye nipa no 25 ayefro ne ade yenyire nja sorry ye ko masarachi enya no o ma chi nipa ha 9 ne nsia o mo de o mo nte say dogo bi no abe still o ma dwen so mbe sabri emu aduanan baako de o mo de o ma ko gina court a o mo bo o mo ko edu na o mo ko so stress e ma o mo form nsan kan won ko gina court say ushia police for ana soldier for no mo no di nkomo say da bi san ko fia nye ho na no mbe yi ano yes I do ko gina court waso ACP, thank you for that quick update. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, shortly, I would invite the minister responsible for communications to give us a quick update on the COVID-19 app, as was outdoored yesterday. But before then, we want to deal with stigmatization. It's one of the major challenges generally in disease control and one of the emerging challenges that we are having in our COVID-19 response program in Ghana. In this case, it's the disapproval of or discrimination against a person because he or she is thought to have contracted the disease. Now, it has a number of effects. It makes suspected cases go underground. It makes communities wary of supporting patients or even wary of allowing isolation centers to be put there so that we can support persons even in that community. It makes communities and individuals, or it puts them in a position where they end up just undermining the entire response program. I want to invite Dr. Adjoa Edwin, an advisor to the National Response Team, to speak to the nation at this moment on the challenge that we are facing with stigma and what we need to do to reverse it. Doc, please join us with that quick update.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Good morning, and all protocol observed. Just a bit of correction. I'm Ama Edwin, not Adjoa. So basically, we'll be looking at the challenges that we are facing with stigmatization, as the Honorable Minister mentioned. When we talk about stigma, we're talking about a group of people or an individual who is treated differently based on something we perceive as being out there, something we don't want to be in touch with or associated with. And in this case, we're talking about COVID-19. So what is happening now is that we have patients who have been diagnosed with COVID-19, we have their families, we have healthcare workers who work in facilities, all being stigmatized. And when it happens like that, we end up labeling them, stereotyping them, discriminating against them, treating them separately, and then they lose their status in the society. Why is this happening? It is happening because COVID-19 is a new disease with a lot of unknowns. When it started in Ghana, it was seen as a burger disease, have-been disease, because it was those who had a history of travel who were having it. But now it is in the wider community, and so we need to look at it. The Honorable Minister highlighted some of the impact, and that is what we are seeing in the facilities. I work at the University of Ghana Medical Center, and so we occasionally have patients who come and are not forthright with travel history or history of contact because of stigma. I'll give you another example. A colleague shared with me that she had been managing a woman with hypertension with a group of drugs that can cause cough. Cough is a side effect of what we call the ACE inhibitors or ARBs. So in managing her, the doctor was trying to find out whether she's experiencing any cough. So she asked her, are you coughing and do you have any history of cough? The woman said, no cough at all. So later on, the doctor said, okay, when you do cough, let me know, because the drug that I've given you can cause a dry cough. Then he's like, oh, Dr. Sa, the reason why she didn't say so is fear of stigma. She thinks that once I have a cough, I'll be diagnosed with COVID-19. And once you have COVID-19, you'll be stigmatized. So how can we deal effectively with stigma? We know things that work for us. So let's look at a few. We need to build trust in our health system. Stigma often starts from within. All my life, I've worked in mental health, and nowhere is stigma emphasized or stigma as real as in mental health, where even when you are a practitioner, I remember those days when, yes, 96, working at a psychiatric hospital. Even my husband, who was working in Kolibu, was stigmatized because his wife worked in the psychiatric hospital. But we also know things that we can do that can fight stigma. So having reliable information is one. We know that regularly the Ministry of Information, together with the Ghana Health Service, the Director General is here, updates us on what is happening. So you have to have the know-how, and then we show empathy to people who are being affected. We have a saying that says that if you see your neighbor's beard on fire, you collect water, you fetch water and put it against yours. Not because yours will catch fire too, but in case yours catches fire, you have water to douse the fire. We have community spread. We never know who is going to get it. So let's be empathetic to those who have it, so that when you have it, the same way you treat others, you will get the support. But if you stigmatize others, next time it might be you. We also need to understand the disease, and that's why I'm so happy about the education that is being done in various languages. And then we should adopt practical measures that work. But in terms of the bigger picture for all of us, I'm going to talk about 3 things that we can do. Words matter. So we'll first look at the do's and don'ts of stigma. Then do your part. We are all involved, so we all have to do our part. And I'll give a few communication tips to the media. So what are the do's and don'ts? Let's look at some of them. Talk about people who have COVID-19. Don't talk about COVID-19 case. It's not the same. The person is the person first. So a patient or a person with COVID-19 or being treated for COVID-19 or recovering from COVID-19. We don't want you to say COVID-19 case, COVID-19 suspect, COVID-19 probable. That is stigma generating. Do talk about people who are presumptive to have the disease rather than suspect, because the police officer just spoke. Once we use the word suspect, it's like you've done something wrong, and that is what is in people's minds. So what you want to say is that this is a person or a patient who is thought to have COVID-19 or may have it. It's also important that you talk about the fact that, oh, this person traveled and contracted the disease, rather than he traveled and brought the disease to Ghana. One of the things the media will do, they go so much always looking for case 0, the index case, and tracing them. Why is that so important? It is here. We need to look at how we can manage it. It's very important that you don't talk about people infecting others, super spreaders. It's a word that is bundled often. But once you identify a person or a group of people as super spreaders, you are stigmatizing the whole community, not just the person. Do share accurate information, tested information. I personally am so sick and tired of people saying, I didn't generate it, I just forwarded it. If you hit the forward button, it means you are attesting to it. The worst is people who don't even read what they are forwarding. What is the essence? What you want to do is to make sure that the information you are sharing is true, it's empowering, it will help people deal with what they are going through, it will not generate fear and anxiety in people. We also need to talk about the effectiveness of preventive measures when done. Stay home. Keep social distancing. Avoid touching your mouth, your eyes, and nose. So the acronym is avoid touching men. The acronym is an acronym. Avoid touching your mouth, your eyes, and your nose. MEN, men. Avoid touching men. It's a catchy acronym. That's a stigma. Hey, my Director General says that is stigma. I'm in trouble. Okay. But so these are some of the do's and don'ts we can do. Do your part. We all have a role, whether you are in government, whether you are a civil society member, whether you are a media, whether you are a key influencer. There are things that we need to do. I've already talked about the fact that when you are sharing information, share facts, share what is true, what is empowering, what they encourage people. Don't highlight the negative so much. Let's engage the social influencers and community members. We know people who will be readily listened to if they start to speak. We need to amplify the voices and the stories of people who have been through it. And there are people who have been through it, ranging from medical doctors to business people to the ordinary person. These are narratives we can tell. These are stories we can share, because you get to know that most of the people who do get these diseases recover. Most people get mild disease. Many people get asymptomatic disease. They don't even know. So the percentage or the proportion that get moderate to severe disease is not the majority. We talk about that, but let's highlight the positive stories. Let's start hero campaigns when we've seen people who have overcome odds, especially in line of Covid-19. Let's highlight these things. Let's honor our caretakers and our health workers and our frontline workers. I work in UGMC, which is a treatment facility. I wear PPEs, I do that. But sometimes, you know, even within the community, in the hospitals, I'm not talking about my hospital, but you work in a place that is solely for COVID-19, you go home, people see you differently, you interact, people see you differently. Let's focus on ethical journalism. You know your ethics, you know the stories you are supposed to spread. Let's focus on that, and let's link people up to services. One of the things that is being done, and the Honorable Minister forgot to mention it when he was talking about people, is the Ghana Psychological Association has been providing psychosocial support. There are numbers out there. So if you are anxious, if you're worried, if you feel stigmatized, if you feel discriminated against, just call any of the numbers and you will get help. And in terms of communication, let's not spread misconceptions. Let's not spread rumors. Let's not spread things that will bring fear into our society. Let's correct misconceptions, and let's promote the importance of prevention. We can fight this. We can win this. Kakra me pese meka e wo twimansa na matena se yare ya abaya ye frɛ no COVID-19 enye eniwudie ukonya enye se boni bi na waye se wutu kwan po na ni nti wunya abaya enye wo mfon so wan tu kwan se ukɔgye yare na ba na wode abesane enkrofo enti se wunya yare bia me pa cho enfant na fie ko hospital frɛ line no, because se yehu ntema eni betumi aboa ba yenim said the way a enkrofo eye ni nti ebinum nya yare na no mo pese omo disuma because ebia obeko hospital ye beje na to ho ebia no nsiesie nechi anase nebusuafopo recently me kan ebi o sister obi enya bi wo ho nti ne busuani bi edidwa enkrofo mbeto ade e wo ho bi o se omo to store dum nti me pa social media nyoma bebree wo ho enye bibia wo nsa beka ene o se wo forward ebinum wo ho kra de na o mo forward no po o mo nkan ye ne yesesa nkrofo ya yesei na we ya yesei ye yesa na ye ma yare no ased ya yare ni ye ni wudi ye stigmatizing inti nipa kro no obi po a onka oba hospital so a onka no kra inti ye pa mo cho enkenka omo wo media num no se mo di nkrofo oba mo fa nkrofo mo betumi abekasa na mo betumi achichi ye nre mo betumi ahye ye nkran mo betumi ama oman na tumpo na ka se yare wunye bi kra ensro because nyoma bebre wo ho a ye betumi aye ne ye di aboa na mi gedi pa se pamucho enkenka omo wo media no se mudi nkrofo oba mo fa nkrofo mo betumi abekasa na mo betumi achichi ye nre mo betumi ahye ye nkran mo betumi ama oman na tumpo na ka se yare wunye bikura ensro because nyoma bebre wo ho a ye betumi aye ne ye di aboa na mi gedi pa se ye nyina ye mu na ye yafam ne ehu se ye wo community mi metumi nye bi nye se me ye ejuma wo hospital nkwa na metumi because hospital no ohona me wo no minim so mo omo sure me sure mo no de omo yare ni bi inti me bo me ho ba but say bi a higher ye we and I say wo kokrom and I say wo baby obi wo ho na oni bia metumi nya bi inti no say ye na ye see ya dream peace.
Thank you, Dr. Adjoa Edwin.
Amma Edwin.
Dr. Amma Edwin, thank you. Forgive me, it's corona pressure. Just to put a few things in perspective, I think I've already noticed a number of news websites reporting that we have mentioned here that 10 persons have died. I'm not too sure if it's because somebody misspoke or they misheard us. Just to be clear, Dr. Abuaje's data is that 8 persons have died. So our colleagues in the media who are writing online, please make that correction. 8 persons have died, but 17 persons have been cured. That means that they've tested negative after the second, 2 negatives after treatment. 2 negatives after treatment. Okay. So 17 persons have been cured. That means they've tested negative twice after going through treatment. There are 66 others who have gone through treatment and have tested a first negative, and we are in the process of getting them their second test. Fingers crossed, they will also test negative. And that is what would hopefully eventually bring our numbers to 83. We haven't said 83 people have recovered. Please. We have said 17, and then we have said 66 who have gone through a first negative test. And eventually, if hopefully we get their second test also negative, that is what will bring us to 83. So our colleagues in the media, please help us to get that context right. Now, Dr. Amma Edwin spoke about the spread of false or inaccurate information on social media, sometimes with the excuse that, oh, I don't know, I just forwarded it as I received it. Indeed, I'm sure last night you saw some fabrications going around that our case count was around 1,000 and something. We'll deal with those ones later. But let me just read you a section of Act 755. ACP, hopefully your future prosecution numbers will include this. Act 755, the Electronic Communications Act 2008, Section 76. A person who by means of electronic communication service knowingly sends a communication which is false or misleading and likely to prejudice the efficiency of life-saving services or to endanger the safety of a person, a ship, aircraft, vessel, or vehicle, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 3,000 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 5 years or both. A person is taken to know that a communication is false or misleading if that person did not take reasonable steps to find out whether the communication was false, misleading, reckless, or fraudulent. Subsection 2 does not apply to the operator or provider of the network or service over which a communication is sent. Later, I also read the provisions of spreading false news with a view to cause fear and panic. There are laws in this country against these, and you will not be excused by saying, I didn't know, I was just sharing it, I was just forwarding it, especially when, with great respect, the same phone on which you are sharing, if you just went to the Ghana Health Service website or the Ministry of Information website, the same phone and data, you will get the accurate information. You will not be excused for spreading the fake one and saying, I didn't know. So we'll come to a bit of these later. Honorable Minister for Communication, since we are talking about communication, please join us and tell us about the COVID-19 app, after which the clinicians and the first responders have a quick word for us, and then we'll take questions and answers. Honorable Minister.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And before I come to the app, I'd like to share a few things about what the communication sector morning, ladies and gentlemen. And before I come to the app, I'd like to share a few things about what the communication sector is also doing to assist and fight against COVID-19. The telecoms companies have all zero-rated, i.e. they provided the service at no cost to customers who browse all educational sites and all websites for the Ghana Health Service and Ministry of Information. So if you go to the Ghana Health Service website, you're not using any data. If you seek information from the Ministry of Information's website, you're not using any of your data. It has been zero-rated and it is for free. Services to the general public has been affected by this. I say the traffic jams have moved from the streets online. And so the President has directed that the ministry, the NCA, should give more bandwidth, more spectrum to the telcos during this period for free, and that has been done. Fortunately, we have only a limited amount of spectrum currently available, and that has been given to the two telcos that are bearing the brunt of it, Vodafone and MTN. Airtel Tigo has sufficient spectrum, and so Vodafone and MTN have been giving the additional spectrum for 3 months, because we do need to reserve some for emergencies like this, and so we can't give it to them permanently. So they've been giving it to use for the next 3 months for free, and hopefully that would help reduce the pressure on their networks. We can also help further by changing our online behavior a little bit. If you don't have to make a video call, don't make a video call, or call on WhatsApp or any of these platforms. Make your normal phone call. It will go through, but it will conserve the data that you use. Let's limit the downloads of movies and music and stuff like that. We already have some saved on our phones. TVs are also working. Let's see how we can utilize the available mediums that we have to reduce the pressure on the scarce resource, the data that we have. And now, maybe it's the time for you to read that book that you've put aside for such a long time. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with using data, but let's see how we can also modify our use of data to see that we can conserve it. The ministry is also working with Start Times, using the 300 digital satellite villages, digital villages project to screen free educational content for all our students in the villages. As you may recall, in 2008, this project donated 6,000 decoders, 600 projector TVs, and 300 TV sets, which are all solar powered, to 300 villages around the country to facilitate digital communications. That infrastructure is being utilized with the Ghana Education Service to showcase the Ghana Learning TV so that our children that are at home can also use this project. We're also working to establish virtual offices for some 300,000 public sector workers utilizing our Smart Workplace project. There are currently about 20,000 workers already using it, which makes it possible for them to work virtually, securely, from home. And government business has to work. We don't know how long this is going to last. We hope it won't take very long. But if it does, we also have to explore other ways of using technology to facilitate our government-to-government citizen engagement. And this is a secure platform that the ministry is working with the Ministry of Finance to make available to all MDAs. I'll use this medium to urge the chief directors and heads of agencies to answer the simple questionnaires that we've already sent to them so that we can provision them and put them on this platform to enable them to work. It would also enable them to have meetings through audio or video conferencing. And the connectivity can be anywhere, anytime, and on any device. PCs, laptops, tablets, and on smartphones as well. And the telcos have also zero-rated this service. And so we can use the Smart Workplace platform for free while this period lasts. We're also using technology to assist the Ghana Health Service to fight the coronavirus pandemic. And on 23rd March, His Excellency the President signed the Executive Instrument 63 on the establishment of emergency communications services. Now, that has already is being set up with the telecoms companies using the metadata behind our phone communications. It is not collecting the content of anybody's communications. We're not interested in who is saying what to whom or who is sending which message to whom. We're only interested, we don't even know who, we don't have the names of anybody. We're just using the phone numbers and the locations to be able to assist the Ghana Health Service track the incidence of this virus and to enable them target their interventions more accurately. Now, the COVID-19 Symptom Tracker is also an easy-to-use digital tool that's designed to help people self-report their symptoms and assess their health situation for COVID-19 risk. As Dr. Ahmed Edwin indicated, people are reluctant to even tell whether or not they're facing or experiencing any of these symptoms. But through the app, they can give the accurate information anonymously, just giving their phone numbers and their locations. That information will be analyzed and will be given to the health service, who would know which areas are having symptoms that are akin to the virus symptoms, to enable them send the contact tracers to those areas, to those locations, and take the samples of those who have sent in their responses. It is not providing general information about the virus. There are lots of resources already available, and we wanted a simple-to-use tool which anybody at all could utilize to report their symptoms. The data is also encrypted, so no personal information, name, ID, or address is recorded on the platform. However, it will recall the people's GPS location as they move. The launch was held yesterday, and I must thank the musicians who also performed for free to lift up the spirits of those of us in lockdown and educate the public through music as well. People are questioning why we had a virtual concert to launch this app. But I think that the musicians also saw it as an opportunity for them to also give something back. Those are the skills that they have. And the feedback we've got indicates that quite a lot of people appreciated the performances, and through that they also learned a bit. And I can report that as at this morning, there have been 16,000 downloads already, even though it's just through the web link on Android. And the reports on it are interesting. About 100 of those have reported symptoms which are likely to be corona-related. So we'll pass on that information to the Ghana Health Service. So out of the 16,000 plus, we have 100 that are of interest that would make it easier for them to target and locate. Now I'll encourage everyone to also utilize the app. And we're working with the Apple Store to make it available on Apple. But the information we got was that many of the smartphones in this country are Android-based. And so we figured that by making it available for Android users quickly, we would reach a larger population as quickly as possible, while we worked with the App Store to also make that available. It is Ghana specific. We're interested in what is happening in our country. I know there are others that are looking globally and collecting that information globally. But we're interested in tracking the virus in our country. And so it has been specifically designed for use within Ghana to help us to collect the data as quickly as possible and zero in on possible areas of interest so that we can work on that. It is not just for those who have smartphones. We recognize that quite a number of our people have YAM phones. And so it has USSD capabilities as well. If you dial *769#, somebody will receive that call and prompt you, lead you through the steps to answer the simple questions to let us know whether or not you may be having symptoms that are likely to be corona-related. So we would encourage all of us to work together using the simple tools that we have at our disposal. They are domesticated. They are designed for our own circumstances to help us all to stay safe together. This is not the time to fight each other. Let's all come together to fight the virus. And if anybody has any suggestions as to how we can improve the setup, all those suggestions are also welcome. Okay. Pancho said it. The Ministry of Communication, any any telecom companies, the agencies, anyone here. Almost coronavirus. Websites that yedi SC hostel yedi bebo dewuru afa that virus. Ministry of Information and Ghana Health Service. Pomodin as any Ministry of Health at Pomodin as share. Wow, ube kohubia, who use data. Telecos na yen say ube kohwa zero rated. Mohu kebia. Any of those websites, no, free. You're your phone, so I'm said there be a network, be almost the simple messages, be to so a boy and coco, a boy and kayes, nyama, a was a ye, be our phone, or use networks, a war or memo head. There be a network in my message, and also kebia na emergency numbers na ye dia ba 112 any 311 any die ewo efidie ni so wo machine nyina eno so ukọ ho no mo o frɛ saa number na eno so wo mmɔ ho ekebia na ye nyina mpani aka sɛ
yare yi ennante na yen na ye nante a ye de echi no nti yentena fie ni nti no ye wo fie no ye yusu ye data no more amanfo ewo ye phone ne so nti nka traffic jam e wo ka kwan so no sisi a enam ye kan say online ye kan say otwi abefo ntentan ne so enenenam traffic ne ko abefo ntentan no eso enti mampani aka sɛ yɛ ne wɔn entena se ne hwɛ kwan yɛ bɛfa so a yɛ betumi ama ɔmo atumi atre ɔmo emfidie ne mu na atumi aduru amanfo atumi ayusu emie pipe ne mu kakra na kwan medem kakra na traffic jam no enko fom kakra enti yama wɔn spectrum kakra yɛde afam wɔn na wɔtwe bosome miɛnsan yi a esi yɛnimi sɛ ɔmo nhwɛ sɛ bɛboa ɔmo nnwumakuo no na ɔmo nso wɔn ho ahare wɔn kakra na sɛ nipa dodoɔ na eyusu yɛn phones yɛn computers ne adeadeɛ nti pressure aba so nti ɛhɔ akyi kakra nti yɛbɛsrɛ sɛ yɛn nyinaa nso yɛnhwɛ kwan a yɛbɛtumi afa so a yɛbɛboa wɔn na wɔn ho nso ahare wɔn kakra nti adeɛ a wobɛtumi afa telephone kasa afrɛ no fa telephone ne frɛ mɛnyɛ WhatsApp call mɛnyɛ video call yɛn ho yɛ adɔfo anim a ɛyɛ nanso yen susu yusu nsa na emma se yen free data ne app na se bibi ehia pa se wo se ye kwa na nkwa akotoko ewo ho yeguso ane won edi nsaho ahwe kwan a ye be fa so a wo be services no ebeboa ye nyina na de ba ko a saa yare ya kire ye ne se ewo se yapo mudin enhyehyɛ no ye hyemu ekena ena yen abefo ntentan telecoms nhyehyɛ ne nso no so ye hyemu ekena se nipa na ntumi ntu anammoa ne nkomodie mu obedi no framen nti saa infrastructure no so ewo se ye hyemu ekena nti saa edwumadie mu ye behwe na yaye ye ne start times ene Ghana Education Service so project na ye year 2018 na it is 6,000 decoders, 600 projector TVs, akɛseɛ, any 300 TVs. Ɛkɔ 300 nkurase nketewa around Ghana no. Yɛ use saa infrastructure no ne de aboa yɛ mmabun ne yɛ school nkwalaa na ɔmo de esua deɛ ɛwɔ Ghana Learning TV no ɛso. Ɛmi sɛ nekura mi hu sɛ DSTV nso ɛwɔ so a any GTV nyinaa utumi kɔ hɔ no mu a utumi enya saa Ghana Learning TV no wasua de abɛɛfo ɛkwan so na ye boana aban adwumayɛfoɔ nso so ɔmo atumi atena fie sɛ ba sɛ wɔse atena fie ne akya ɔmo atumi atena fie no ɔmo ayɛ adwuma edi wɔn kita ho no safely ɛmfo ha obi amrɛ ɔmo adwuma no ana ankorankora no ana ɔmo
meaning say other platforms will have a secure platform ya bambon hyehyɛ wɔn ho nyinaa yɛayɛ nti wodi dwuma wɔ hɔ a sɛ oni no eti w'anim a wɔn no nkitahodie nti yɛn documents a yɛde kɔba ne nyinaa ɛntra nkɔ abɔnten kasa na yɛka ne nso enyu nkogu baabi foforɔ ɛne mfoni na yɛyi wɔ so ne nso so bambon hyehyɛ ne nyinaa pɛpɛɛpɛ wɔn ho. A 300,000 public sector workers. Nyumaku ɛwɔ ministries, departments, the agency no. To be used as our platform yi ɛde yɛ adwuma nti yɛn Ministry of Finance yɛn ho nhyehyɛ. Members kwenye iso ama chief directors, any heads of agencies ne nyinaa send wɔn questionnaires bi. Ɔmo mfamrɛ yɛn na yɛntumi ɛnhyɛ aseɛ na yɛnyɛ nhyehyɛ no na ɔmo ntumi nyɛ adwuma. Ɛwɔ device bi so either on laptops, on computers, on tablets, and now on smartphones. It me ye juma ɛwɔ baabia ɔwɔ bia hyehyɛ nso telecoms no ɛnyɛ yɛn ho esika na yɛtumi ayɛ saa nhyehyɛ no yɛpɛ sɛ yɛfa abɛɛfo kwan so ɛboa yɛn apɔmuden aso yɛyɛfoɔ nso no mutumi ɛyɛ nhyehyɛ a ɛbɛboa na yɛhu sɛnea yareɛ yi ɛtene ɛfa enti mampani ɛde ne nsa ahyɛ kataa bi ase sɛ
19 Symptom Tracker application ɛno nyɛ apɔmuden nhyehyɛ dawubɔ so na ɛwɔ nea pɛ sɛ ankorankora na wo ho dodo watu kwan bi aba wo ne obi a wanya saa yareɛ ni bi ɛsan wo tiri mu ntene wo papa ayamhyehyɛ kakra wɔ mu sɛ anhwɛ a yareɛ manya bia na menya bia wokɔ hɔ no mu a ebisa wo simple questions bi wo answer na yɛtena akyire ne yɛhwɛ a na sɛ asɛ wo betumi aba in contact with saa yareɛ bia na akyerɛ wo ne wo ba abɛyɛ yɛde information ama apɔmudenfoɔ na wakyerɛ wo telephone number wo location to wote hɔ mɛsrɛ sɛ mo use Ghana Post digital address no ɛno deɛ deɛ bɛba wo fie pɛɛ na wo ni bi na akyerɛ yɛn baabi awɔ na apɔmudenfoɔ no contact tracers ne bɛba wanaase na mo aba abɛyi wo sample ni bi na mo akɔhwehwɛ mu ahwɛ sɛ ampaniampa yareɛ ni bi wanya bi ana sɛ yɛ results ne ba na wonya bi a wakoma atɔ yam wanya bi nso so a yaba abɛfa wo ne ama wo ayare sa yabɛhwɛ wo yareɛ no ama wo nti ɛno nyɛ obi na ɛba abɛhu na watenetene ne nsa bi ato so ɛpopo n'ani akyerɛ wo na yɛayɛ wo han wei deɛ waa ne wo phone na wafrɛ a wo nipa ko no onim wo din wo telephone number ne baabi a wɔn ko ana ohia yɛhu a yaba abɛhwɛ wo ne wabusuafoɔ ne nyinaa wo ne wɔn ti efie mu no yɛteki wɔn sample no yɛyɛ ma Ghana enti yɛnim sɛ deɛ yɛasetena mu esitie enti yɛayɛ simple app a obiara betumi use yɛnya ha ne yɛba abɛyi nkonyaa bi anaa yɛba abɛyɛ dandan yɛn ho ɛyɛ simple to use application yɛnim sɛ ɔmo use Android phones ne so dɔɔso ɛsɛn ɔmo use iPhones no nti yɛhyɛ aseɛ with Android iPhone deɛ no yɛyɛ ho nhyehyɛ na wɔtwe bɛkɔ awiɛ no na nhyehyɛ no asi na nnura a yɛ launch yɛbɛpem anapɛ no na nipa apem ahesia saa na yɛka 1600 apem ahensia apem ne ahensia sɛm kan sɛm ano funfun a mo mfa nkyɛm 1000 dabi 16,000 empim dunsia thank you ɛna a download fee nnura yɛ launch nnura nwumere yɛ launch bɛpem anapɛ empim dunsia ɛna a download asɛnde wɔn information yɛyɛ nhwehwɛmu ne nso so bɛyɛ ɔha ne akyire ɛna ɔmo wɔ symptoms a yɛbɛtumi adi akyire nti yɛde saa information ne bɛma apɔmudenfoɔ no tinya afei ne yɛma bɛhwɛ empim dunsia nyinaa akyire akwan yɛhu sɛ ɔhapɛ ɛna ɛyɛ of interest nti ɛno no ma apɔmudenfoɔ no wɔn ho hare wɔn ne yɛtumi akɔ hɔ direct ne yɛne wɔn akɔ akɔdi further nkitaho no that's the beauty or app yi ɛho ne ɛma ne yɛ anika no ɛno no ɛboa yɛn ma yɛtumi sɔne so kakra ma yɛhu ne ehia paa no na yɛakɔhwɛ mu nti yɛbɛboa sɛ ne yɛyɛ nyɛ de obi kasa a ɔka wɔ ne phone so anaa data a ɔsɛnde anaa mfoni a ɔyi hu ne hia yɛn phone nankasa number ɛne baabi a ɔne ne wɔ no ɛho ne hia yɛn nti yɛnya saa information yɛn ne yɛde ka ɛno ho a ɛboa apɔmudenfoɔ no na ɔmo atumi a zero in straight away ɛwɔ baabi a ɔhaw no ahwɛ a ebi wɔ no yɛbɛsrɛ mampanin si yɛn nyinaa yɛntena fie sɛ ɛho hia paa sɛ yɛkɔ kurom a yɛntena fie yareɛ ni eni nan yɛn ne yɛde kyi wankɔ nso so a nkɔnkɔfa yarebɔne bi a ɛmma fie ɛmmɛha wo ne wabusuafoɔ wotu fie a wote wadeɛ so ɔhaw bi a ɛmma nti we can't overemphasize it when so nyɛ sikafoɔ yareɛ anaa ehiafoɔ yareɛ anaa akɛsefoɔ anaa ateateafoɔ anaa tuntumfoɔ anaa akɔkɔɔfoɔ etumi sai obia nti nhyehyɛe na yɛde agu akwan mu yɛbɛsrɛ yɛn nyinaa sɛ yɛmma ne nyɛ yɛhiasɛm na yɛnni so na yɛmmoa yɛn nyinaa yɛn ho na mframabɔne baabi efiri baayɛ no ɛnsan kɔ yɛn nyinaa yɛn ho hare yɛn ɛdamas.
Honorable Minister, thank you. I think one of the good things about the period in which we are is that we are all being forced to become bilingual. I think it's time to take your questions and to respond to them. For those in our press pool who, because of social distancing, are not here, you are on the WhatsApp platform. You can please send your questions in if you have not done them already, and we'll designate one of your colleagues to read out your questions. For those who are here, we'll take your questions. Just before I do that, is our quarantine facility still open? Is the mandatory quarantine facility still open, or has everybody been exited at this point in time? Dixon from National Security, please join me with a quick answer to that one. And then the first responders. I understand that the first responders made up of the clinicians in the hospitals who are taking care of our colleagues who have tested positive, and those in the ambulances, they have a quick word for us. Mrs. Zakaria, please get ready, very quickly. And then if I see your indication by hand, I'll invite you to ask your question. Dixon, very quickly. The quarantine is still open. Where are we on that one?
Okay. Honorable Minister, thank you so much. So the Honorable Minister for Information, Honorable Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Honorable Minister for Communication, and Queen Mother for Achim. I hope I got it correct. Thank you. Honorable Minister, we met here about 21 days ago, on the 24th day of March 2020, and I informed this August Assembly that we had launched a special national security operation dubbed Operation COVID Safety, which was conceived and launched pursuant to the President's own directive to the national security community that we constitute an operation to support the Ghana Health Service to do three things: testing, tracing, and treatment. The first major task of the Joint Task Force was the mandatory quarantining of arriving passengers, travelers, and cases from outside of our borders. The operation, as you well know by now, was a resounding success to our fight to defeat the virus. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed a large-scale disinfection and fumigation exercise of all holding facilities used for the national quarantining program to ensure that each of them is quite safe and indeed 100% safe for public use. We have made a very aggressive effort to go around each of them to verify the extent of fumigation, extent of disinfection, and we are quite satisfied that that effort has been properly also executed. It's a commitment that, Mr. Minister, we made actually through the holding facilities, and it's a promise that government intends to actually keep. Now, over the last 2 weeks, many of you would have noticed, for instance, that the Operation COVID Safety Joint Task Force had also taken notice, just like all of us, of the emergence of fake and doctored videos, and as well as old videos of incidents of security operations that had no bearing with the current lockdown situation, thereby attracting very adverse public uproar and things like that. Now, Operation COVID Safety stepped up the public engagement and community affairs program, the PACE program, to disabuse the public mind, and that also was very, very successful. We actually want to send a word of caution to those who engage in those mischievous behaviors, that creating and disseminating fake videos is a serious crime. And it's a serious crime, by the Honorable Minister rightly said, under the Electronic Communications Act. So in the very few isolated cases that we have seen excesses, or which has been reported to us, we are taking the urgent steps of withdrawing those members of personnel from the front lines and investigating the matters that have been called also into issue. We would want to assure the Ghanaian populace that at this moment, what we are doing with the operation is that simple. We are changing gears. We want you to know that we're taking the President's instructions seriously. Stay at home. This is a mantra from the operation. Stay at home for us. while we stay at work for you. Stay at home for us while we stay at work for you. And with that, I'd want to end by just reiterating the President's own mantra that these are extraordinary times. All of us have a role to play. We must endeavor to observe the social distancing and the hand-washing protocols. We must also wear the face mask. And when we are out, please let that mask be on you. And we encourage all of us, including those that we have control over, those who work with us, those who are with us, to also do the same, to wear the face masks, to sanitize your hands, to maintain the social protocols of social distancing. Thank you so much.
Dixon, thank you for that quick word from National Security. Yes, and while you do that, Professor Zakaria, a quick word from the first responders, particularly those in the ambulances. Please share it with us, and then we'll take the questions.
Yeah. Honorable Minister of Information, Honorable Minister of Communication, Honorable Minister of Chieftaincy Affairs, and all other protocols observed. From the National Ambulance Service perspective, we really want to bring to the attention of the general public that as far as the fight against COVID-19 is concerned, it's a shared responsibility. And because we are an interface between the community and the hospitals, I really want to emphasize the role everybody has to play as far as this is concerned. Before I do that, I just want to mention that of all the cases that have been mentioned, over 270 of them had to be moved from one location to the other by the ambulance service because of one medical condition or the other. And out of this, the breakdown is as follows. About 235 are in Greater Accra, 10 in Kumasi, we have 8 in the northern region, 1 in Upper West, 2 in Upper East. We had some 9 suspected cases in Savannah. Fortunately, they were all negative. Then naturally, we have 1 in Central region as well. Now, what we need to also understand is from hotels 118, hospitals 64, residents 80, FM stations 2, police station 5, and immigration office 1. Now let me just explain what this whole fight is about so that once we understand that, we know what to do. Now, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, it's now considered a crisis, which is a mass casualty incident. In this case, what we call biological mass casualty incident or biological MCI. Now, the reason we continue advocating for stay at home is this. Even in the most advanced countries, their health infrastructure is not able to cope. And what happens is that if you have so many people falling sick at the same time, to seek health care, you know the limited number of doctors, limited number of nurses, paramedics definitely will not be able to cope. And so when they talk about flattening the curve, it means that the lesser we attend the health facility, the better the health facility is able to cope. So by staying at home, it means that practicing social distancing is trying to flatten the curve. And when that happens, that will really go a long way to slow the rate of transmission of the disease. Now, anytime you hear that a COVID-19 case has been confirmed, it means that someone in the community who was harboring the SARS-CoV-2 has transmitted it to another person. So it's advisable to stay at home so that at least we all help to slow the rate of transmission. Now, coming back to the role everybody has to play, for the community, we need information. The reason is that the paramedics will have to attend to all cases. But if you don't help them get the necessary information so that they take the necessary precautions, they are likely to be the source of transmission. For example, if you have to transport a case that is COVID, but because of hiding the information, the patient is transported like an ordinary case, you are jeopardizing and risking the life of everybody involved in the treatment. The other thing we need to know is that we really don't have the capacity, just like the other countries. On Sunday, the first air transport of COVID case was done. And this was a case from Bolga to Tamale and to Accra. Just to let you know, this patient needed to be on oxygen throughout. The patient's condition was such that she was oxygen dependent. Anytime the patient was off oxygen, the saturation was 85%. And on oxygen, it shot up to 99%. What it means is that if this patient didn't have this care, we would have lost the patient. So just to buttress the point that once we stay at home, we're going to reduce the number of people who are going to get sick. If we don't, and many people get sick at the same time, our health system is going to get overwhelmed, and there's no way we can cope. So when they say stay at home, it means that you are trying to help. If you don't stay at home, you are becoming an enemy of the state, because it means you are part of the problem, and therefore it is not advisable to go out when it is not necessary. The other reason we need to emphasize is this. When the paramedics arrive, you should know that once they are protecting themselves, they are supposed to provide a face mask to the patient as well. So I just want you to know that a lot of the resources will also be needed in the pre-hospital setting, because apart from the paramedics protecting themselves, when they arrive to attend to a patient, as part of best practices, it means the patient will have to wear a face mask to prevent the patient coughing and sneezing on the healthcare attendants, and also to ensure that we don't transmit the disease. So this is just in a nutshell to let you know that a lot is happening behind the scenes, and there's a lot of pressure even on the pre-hospital care attendants. And this is also an advice to our health facilities. I'll give you an incident had happened, which was very unfortunate. A hospital called the paramedics to come for a suspected case. They came for the patient, all right, but the hospital was not patient enough to allow for arrangement to be made at a treatment center. They forced the paramedics to take this patient. The paramedics took the patient to the isolation center, only to get there to realize that the beds were full. When they were returning the patient to the hospital that called for the service, they refused to allow the ambulance in, and they closed their door. I just want you to understand that we should not treat COVID cases as if they are outcasts, or maybe as if they have some serious disease that is not curable. They've just talked about stigmatization. I'm not going to repeat that, but just to let you know that we all have a role to play, and to also understand that there must be collaboration and cooperation. When a patient is already receiving care at a hospital and it's a suspected case, please don't be in a hurry to send the patient away. Let all the necessary arrangements be made. When a bed is available, then we move the patient. In that case, we'll all be helping to contain the situation. So before I end, I just want to add that so far, no organization has done any donation to the National Ambulance Service. It's because you think we don't need the PPEs. We do. We even do need them more. Because when we go to a patient, we have to give the patient a face mask to wear. So if you have any donations, please, we are still available. Thank you very much. Okay, fortunately, I'm supposed to translate in 1 minute this in my dialect, which is Gonja. Nana, Burana, Anya Kolobenyega, Anya Sanan Kang Benyefene, Koleka Bere, Kamele Kole Phoebe, Amsa, Anya Kolobenyana, Beba Obnye Buaneto, Fubai Fulat, Ketadagan and Kubal Paramepoint Fulat, Nimulo Adagan Fuba Febuto, Fuba Nukumu, Fented Dance of Barkasa, Amsa Kusanya Sanan Kangana, Asan Kusunga.
So how do we say thank you in your language? Asankusu. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to take your questions and provide answers at this point in time. Just to quickly mention that as we are now getting a lot more public education, those in communities that are rejecting isolation centers being put up there, you understand that we all have to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. At our next briefing on Thursday, the Ministers for Trade, Energy and Finance will join us with some more details of the President's instructions and how they are implementing them there. But we continue with the mantra that be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Be concerned, but don't panic. Follow the instructions, stay at home, stop the spread, and let's all stay safe. I'll take the first 3, and then we will take another batch. Yes, sir. Kojo?
I'm Kojo Ajman from CGTV. Honorable, please permit me. I have 4 questions. One on the Covid tracker, education, and security and emergency numbers.
Very quickly.
So on the Covid tracker, the minister explained very well how the app works, but then we are asking how safe, because when you're downloading the app, it asks for so many permissions on your phone. And these days we know how people can really hack into your system and work with such apps. So please, how safe is the app? Because at the back end, there are so many permissions being asked when you are downloading.
So how safe is it?
Yes, please.
Let's go to the next
And then
one.
the emergency numbers, the 112 and 311. How can the deaf community benefit directly because they can't make calls on these numbers? And then the third one, the online and e-learning platforms. It seems we did not take into consideration persons with disability or children with special needs. Are there any arrangement for such children who are home visually impaired and then hearing impaired? And then with security, we're getting reports that some police officers are still not getting their stipends and then food on the field. This may demoralize them. And then some beneficiaries of the food being distributed, you know, some eat dry food. Are they being...
some eat what?
Dry food. I mean, the food that some have special cases, special diets.
Those
are they
with,
being special diet issues?
Okay,
sure. Thank you very much.
Special, okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
My name is Peter Adata, work with TV3. There's an issue we want serious clarification to. Last Sunday, we had information that 2 Nigerians were in the police station, which were eventually diagnosed to be COVID positive. They have stayed in the police station for 8 days. They were sent to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital the day they were found on the checkpoint as illegal immigrants. And after taking the sample at Ridge Hospital, they declined custody of them, and the police took them back. Saturday before the result came, and after that, all attempts to get the COVID response team to go for them have failed. We stepped in on Sunday evening. Yesterday, around 10 o'clock, they went for the 2 guys from the police station, sent them to Gai's Hospital, fumigated the police station. Then in the evening, they brought them back. The hospital said they cannot keep the people there. We want to know if it is a crime for policeman on duty to identify something that we are all fighting, and then they will now stand the risk of what they are helping us to stop. We want to understand why the police station, which is not a quarantine center, will be used as a keeping zone for a COVID victim.
So your question is, how do we mitigate such risks?
Yeah. No, we want to understand the whole scenario about this thing, why they should abandon the patient on the police.
I've heard your question. Yes, sir.
My name is Godfrey Turner with TV3. I want to find out, we all know and we've been told that there's no vaccine for COVID-19. And at the beginning, we heard that some people have been cured and then discharged because after testing negative twice, they've been discharged.
Yeah.
We want to find out what we are doing differently that is making this possible. And then if we are taking into measure some medicine that is not known now. And also want to find out the collaboration the government is having with the traditional medicine practitioners, whether there's any collaboration at all to make sure that they also come out with something to help fight the COVID-19. And lastly, my question, I don't know from the police whether it is appropriate to tell us how the operation is done. Because
how the what is done?
I mean, the COVID operation is done along the roads. You know, that some roads have been blocked and trying to prevent people from moving into town. And we realized that there's heavy traffic in town. Today, when I was coming, I realized that from along the Ofanko Achimota Road, very heavy traffic in front of the Accra Girls, and then my cameraman was also coming from the Tishi Bush Road. Traffic, heavy traffic. They want to find out how the operation is done and how we can also make sure to ease traffic in town. Thank you.
Okay. So that one I think is quite clear. They are screening every single vehicle to be sure that everybody has a justification for being out there. I'll take that out of the pool of questions. Let me take another batch of questions, and then I'll come to provide or invite other persons. First set of questions were technology-driven or technology-based. COVID tracker, how safe? How about provisions for those who are disabled? There are some police persons who still say that they are not getting PPEs. Is that it, Kojo?
Stipends.
Who say they are not getting their stipends? Okay. And then those with special dietary needs. And then there are questions about how we mitigate such risks to, for example, the police station that was responsible for holding some persons who were presumed, I think that is the education we've gotten this morning, persons who were presumed to be positive COVID-19 patients at that time. Before, questions about vaccine, cure, and traditional medicine. Yes, sir.
Joseph Akable, I work with JoyNews. The first question has to do with persons who either left mandatory quarantine or refused to be admitted to same. I reported one in the northern region. The person was on the run. I want to find out what's the latest. There was another issue at Fadama where they were trying to take the person into quarantine and the person refused as well. And the second issue has to do with those who have passed on. I want to find out what the government plan is or what the system in place is. The bodies released to the families to process them for funeral. And also the police service, with regards to the 161 persons that they have arrested in Accra, I want to find out whether it includes persons who are alleged to have breached the restrictions and party at the beaches during the Easter festivities. If not, how far are they going about getting those individuals as well? Okay. And the final one would be on, there was a statement from the unemployed allied health professionals. They are threatening that they are going to withdraw their participation as contact tracers because others who are equally unemployed have been given financial clearance. I want to find out whether that has come to the attention of the Ghana Health Service and also general
unemployed
allied health professionals.
Allied health professionals. Yes. Has their issue come to the attention of the Ghana Health Service, and what is their response?
And generally how we are providing for persons we've recruited to serve as contact tracers.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I'll take a final one here and then we'll start the responses.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Minister. My name is Bismarck Point, broker journalist. My question is actually coming from the Eastern region. Now that Eastern region, we have recorded 32 cases. What is the Ministry of Health doing to prevent this virus from spreading? And then the second one goes to the Ministry of Chieftaincy. Actually, Honorable can be a community and information sentence Nibia a way Puemantama, Omuntiminia Juma Sisi. And your critical season pie. Because of one or two issues popping up. Your best resanka at least
one or two issues so that we are informed. That's we are dealing with it.
Okay, Memfa baby to say a Kufuridia Shishan and yet example. There was some misunderstanding beyond 2 sentences and I'm soon to close to me in a also a sentence spreading information at the call as case number 1 as case number 2. In Krobia, Chessa Yan Shee, na Yan Tiani is Honoma, Yarway, a bepim acronym, Pint Master Honorable Minister of Information, a year, Nanama Chinkuma Force, Monshana Mumbua, Nanka Mumbi, Sa Information Sentence.
Into any request.
Thank you very much.
Should I your question? A request. Into Ministry of Health, how are they containing spread in the Eastern region? And only question you're very responding to. Honorable Minister, let me start with your set of questions. While Ghana Health Service is preparing to respond to theirs as well. Honorable Minister.
The question was how safe is the app because of the permissions that the app requires before you can download it. Those permissions are the standard permissions that many of these web links and platforms would require from any app. So maybe the answer would be it's as safe as WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, because you would see that the permissions are the normal standard permissions that anyone would require. And the same protocols are being used. Strict data protection guidelines have been issued and are being used. And as I indicated, the only information that we need are the symptoms, locations, and the numbers so that the Ghana Health Service can know exactly where the issues, hotspots are, and zero in on them. Thank you.
Minister, thank you. Since this incident of the 2 Nigerians, we have been working with the Ghana Police Service to ensure that if any persons are picked up as part of normal security operations, who are also suspected to be persons who are presumed to be persons who may be positive for COVID-19. First of all, the necessary PPEs as is being made available to the police officers. We know it's not enough. We are doing our best to get a lot more out there. But first of all, they ensure that they use those, and secondly, that they are not mixed up with the general population. And thirdly, when it becomes necessary that the ambulance service would evacuate them to an isolation unit for treatment, that is also observed. But as part of the necessary data being gathered to ensure that the persons who handle that particular matter are also self-isolated and tested and well protected has also been triggered. So that's a quick one to our colleague from TV Africa. There's no vaccine, yes. So how are people getting cured? And I think you have to take your time to explain what is a vaccine and how do people get cured, how the immune system kicks in, etc. Because I think sometimes people think that you need a vaccine to cure people. So you have to help us with that one. And then your collaboration with traditional medicine. You may also want to talk about persons on the run, the one person from Tamale on the run, and then the other person from Fadama who is being sought, who has not been found as has been reported in the media. So Dr. Waji, please join me. By the way, Ghana Ambulance Service makes me understand that Puma Energy has donated a lot of fuel for the ambulances that are doing all the pickups and are doing all the runs. 223,000 Ghana cedis worth of fuel, and they would like to acknowledge that. Apart from that one, they will be happy to take some more.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I think generally, yes, vaccines are meant to provide prevention so that you get a vaccine and then you don't get a COVID, and you are immune to getting the disease. What we are doing here, now there's no vaccine, but what we are doing, we have treatment protocols that takes care of those who are mild. We have symptomatic treatment. We have those who have low respiratory illness, those who are moderate and those who are severe, all the way to those who have to be on the ICU and ventilator. So basically, that's why we have grouped them into that group and are treating them. We also provide the very necessary things like feeding and providing them with appropriate environment that encourages them to get well. Those who have an look environment in their homes are also encouraged and managed at home, and staff go to see them routinely. So, but I also believe that a lot of the people have come early. Our surge in the contact tracing have allowed us to pick them early before they develop serious disease, and that is why it is helping us get the results we are getting. And we intend to do that and do teleconferencing with other centers across the country so that they can also learn from the best practices that is happening in the other sites in the country. Traditional, yes, we are collaborating with the traditional health providers, and as usual, as we've mentioned here, if you have any medication, it has to go through the appropriate protocols of testing to be sure that it is safe, it's not toxic, and it can cure what you claim to cure. And we are ready to work with all of them to ensure that we go through that process through FDA and other agencies, and those medicines will be available. There was a question on burial. We still are providing supervised burial, which means that the body is not going to be handed over. You will not be allowed to handle the body, but we encourage you, work with you so that you don't expose, nobody is exposed to the body until it's burial. So that's what we do, supervised burial. Eastern region has recorded 32 cases, yes. The same protocol, as soon as we pick a case, we do a listing of contacts. We follow all contacts, identify and isolate them. As we speak now, a significant number, I will not be able to, because the numbers keep changing by day, are currently in isolation. Some are, as I mentioned, at Tua Government Hospital. Some are also in Koforidua. Some have been put in hotels to take them out of the places that they are in, to ensure that we prevent further spread and contain the disease. So that's exactly what we are doing in Koforidua. And then the team, the national team and the regional team are involved in making sure that these cases are You see, we have them in various districts. Some of them stretch into our Greater Accra because of the contact. And so we have Greater Accra and East Region and National collaborating to contain the condition. Honorable Minister, I think those are the questions, unless I've missed any one of them. Oh, yes. Yes, currently there has not been any formal petition on my table, but we are aware of their concerns. So what we do is that I'm sure there are many other workers who are also waiting to be employed. And during the contact tracing, we work with their associations. They nominated people we train to participate in the exercise. And just like all contact tracers, they are paid a daily wage for their meals, etc. And that's how we treat all, including the community health nurses, the field epidemiologists, and the lab technologists who are attached to the team to take the samples. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. ACP, please join us. 161 arrests. Does it include some of the revelers in Accra? And if no,
and just like all contact tracers, they are paid a daily wage for their meals, etc. And that's
some of the revelers in Accra, and what is being done about some of those who breached in Accra?
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Accra has 161 cases, 68 are under investigation, 88 on bail, and a number of them are in courts. As of today, I know that some of them have been adjourned for case management conference to take place. So we have people who were engaged in parties, in weddings, and other activities, for example, moving from their homes to other areas are definitely not within their local areas, engaging in activities which are not prescribed by this exemption. And the numbers that are in those cells are not as many as to potentially have the disease spreading within the cells. So all the other cases that you have mentioned, somebody mentioned TV3, did you say about the beaches? Yes. So any arrest that has been made will definitely be investigated and definitely be put before court. So anybody found violating the act or violating the Imposition of Restrictions Act will definitely be dealt with according to law. They are on bail because we can't, as I said, keep them in our custody to potentially spread the disease. That is if anybody has it or not. But I want to assure you that any person found violating this law is definitely going to be dealt with according to the law. Thank you.
Thank you, ACP. We'll take a final batch of questions and then we'll wrap up. A final batch of questions and then we'll wrap up. There was a question about learning support for persons with disabilities. I'm informed by the Minister for Communications that we'll quickly need to check from the Ministry of Education that has developed the content so that they can advise us on an appropriate response to that one. So we'll take that under advisement. Final batch of questions. If there are none, let me go to the platform and let's quickly wrap up. Oh, you have a question? Okay, so while they adjust the microphone, let me take the questions on the platform while they fix the microphone. Yes, sir, quickly.
So there are questions. There are questions on neighborhoods where residents there are protesting the setting up of isolation centers. It's happened in quite a number of regions. And the question is, what is government going to do about this?
What is government doing?
Secondly, there's also a call by the GJA to government to assist the media with PPEs as part of frontliners in the fight against COVID-19. What is government's take on this?
Okay.
And finally, on something that happened yesterday. So there's a particular question on what does government make of politicians spreading misinformation on social media? And an example is given that, for instance, yesterday, there was a figure that was being circulated as the case numbers. What is government doing about this?
Okay. Earlier, there were some questions from CTFM as well.
Yes.
Mr. Hamlet sent some questions. What were they? Quickly.
Let me read that to you. So there's a question asking for more details on the community transmission. So what is the total number and percentage of community transmissions?
Okay.
And then there's also a question on providing more clarity on the protocol using, or the countries using to determine recovery.
Recovery.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, madam. You have the final word.
Thank you. Mine is a complaint to the police. GBC branded vehicles are finding it so difficult at checkpoints. We get there, they ask us, especially in the afternoon, where are you going to? We are going to pick staff to come to work. They answer so many questions, and at times they even ask them to go back. An incident happened at Abekan La Paz yesterday, Las Palmas restaurant. The driver was going to pick staff to work, and he was asked so many questions. After answering, they still asked him to go back. So the police, please, you need to understand our nature of work and help us out.
Thank you. Thank you. So, ACP, you may want to refer that to your men and women out there on the beach. The media is an exempt category. We've asked media persons to carry IDs. And colleagues, I hope you are also carrying your IDs. That makes it easier for them. Because the mere fact that you are in a vehicle with a sticker on it does not mean that you will be let through. They will have to go through the processes of asking the necessary questions to be sure that it's not just anybody who's put a branding on some vehicle seeking to go through. So please also understand that they have to do their work, but ACP, you may want to have a word with your colleagues that we have to give media priority so that they do the work like they are doing for us here today. We apologize for that, and we ask the police to step up to it. Protocol for recovery, I think we've explained it earlier. It's after 2 negative tests pursuant to treatment. Community transmission, the data is on the website, splitting between those with a travel history and those with no travel history. Misinformation on social media. I think we're of the view very clearly that first they constitute offenses, and we're asking the investigative bodies to investigate and bring people to book for such acts. You'll find some on people's Facebook walls openly. We should be able to pick up such persons and have them prosecuted because there are laws in this country that go against that. But listen, also to politicians, those in the ruling party, those in opposition, who think that this is a good time for misinforming the public for parochial political gain. You are being plainly irresponsible. This is the time when we need to spread fact and knowledge to people so that they can protect themselves. So if you think that this is a good time to fabricate things and throw them out there for parochial political gain, so that what? You will stay in power or win power. And by the time all the people are dead, who are you going to govern? It's plainly irresponsible. Now is not the time for it. Let's finish with this national battle, and we can get back to some very decent politics as a country. I think simply that's what we'll say. A GJA requests that media should be included in the PPE distribution. We'll quickly take it under advisement. Dr. Abuaje, these are also frontline workers. We have to include them. Because once you say frontline, you can create issues. Yes, but I'm sure you get the context. So let us explore how, even in the limited quantities, we can provide for our colleagues. And neighborhoods, I'm sorry, the first question about neighborhoods. Neighborhoods that are protesting and not allowing isolation centers to be put up. What is government doing? We're working with the Ministry of Chieftaincy, as has been outlined, to do some deeper engagement so that there's deeper understanding and we can have these isolation centers. In fact, when we have isolation centers, it actually protects the neighborhood so that when somebody is presumed positive, we isolate that person into that center, and that person doesn't get to spread it within that community. So it is even in your own interest for us to have an isolation center there, to isolate persons, test them, and treat them, so that we don't put you at risk. But working through the Ministry of Chieftaincy, Minister, we're very grateful for your support. We should be able to deepen that collaboration. We are going to wrap up at this point. Could you have something very final? We have to wrap up.
My question on the emergency numbers 112 and then 31. I think Dr. Zakaria is here. He can tell us what arrangements are there for persons with disabilities.
Yeah, but they don't handle the lines. The feedback is given to them. So let me take it and then let me get those who run the technology to give us feedback. So, Kojo, we have two outstanding questions from you, which hopefully on Thursday we should be able to respond to. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time. We will leave it here. I want to thank all the dignitaries and members of the committees who've been with us this morning, and later in the week we'll give you a final update. Stay at home, stop the spread, stay safe, spread facts and calm, not panic and fake news, and let's win this together. Thank you.
And it's day 16 of the government restrictions aimed at halting the spread of the coronavirus disease. And this is our coverage of the Ministry of Information situation updates on the coronavirus disease, COVID-19 in Ghana. My name is Mama Vioso Abwaje here with my colleague Winston Amwa. Today's briefing has seen updates from the Ghana Health Service, the police, prosecutions, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Advisor to the National Response Team, Communications Minister. We saw the GJA, the ambulance service as well. What we're going to do now is to give you a quick analysis of what has happened. So if you missed the very beginning, stay with us because we'll keep you up to date. Winston, let's begin with the Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Abwaje, who gave us some good news because for a very long time we've had 4 persons fully recovered from COVID-19 in Ghana, but that number has gone up.
Exactly, Mamavi, it's gone up. So now we know that 17 have fully recovered. What that means is that they've tested negative twice. According to Dr. Abwaje, you need to test negative twice. So having tested positive, once you undergo treatment, you need to test negative on 2 occasions, and then you can be deemed to have fully recovered. Having said that also, 66 other persons have tested negative once, and they're waiting the results of the second test. And he believes that once that is done, would have about 83 Ghanaians having fully recovered from COVID-19. Remember that somewhere last 2 weeks, there was a case in Kumasi who had tested negative and then tested positive again. The explanation was that could have been a false negative, or maybe the person at the time who was being, he or she was being tested had a very low viral load, and so eventually got it. And we have over 200 persons who are asymptomatic. So they are showing no symptoms, but some of them have, they're actually being held at isolation centers or they're on admission, and they're being treated in the various hospitals. And it's important that we actually share, these numbers when it comes to...
We will give an update. Also, just to add that we've had some 44,421 samples as of April 11, 2020. So these are samples out of which we will get results from. So 44,421 samples that's been taken as at 11th of April 2020. You talked about centers that are holding persons who have COVID-19 as at 13th of April,
yes,
on Monday. So let's go.
So if you look at Ghana East is 53. If you go to the Tema Center, you have 5. If you go to the University of Ghana Medical Center, that's 23. Then 37 Military Hospital 2, Ridge Hospital 4, Komfo-Anokye 2, Kumasi South is 6th. If you go to Bakwai 2, Obuasi 2, Volta Regional Hospital 7, and the Eastern Region Begro and Etia, that's 32, while Hospital has 7, and Boagatanga Hospital having 3 persons in there. So if you add all of this, these are the number of persons who are currently on admission and are being treated for COVID-19.
There was also an update from the Operation COVID Safety team, and this person from National Security also indicating that all holding facilities have been disinfected, and this has to do with the mandatory quarantine of travelers into the country.
Exactly.
So all the holding centers where they were keeping, including hotels, I want to believe, have been disinfected.
Exactly, they have.
So let's go to the head of prosecutions for the Accra region, ACP Lydia Donko, who gave us some updates. People have been defying the restriction and gathering orders, and some people have called for prosecution. There have been questions as to what is being done, who is being punished, have they arrested, but we have an update today.
Yes, so we're told that 406 persons have been arrested. Just yesterday on the Super Morning Show, ACP Kwesi Fori talked about how, some persons were getting married over the weekend, and they were also arrested, with about 50 people, including the officiating minister. So we're told that 406 persons have been arrested nationwide, and 103 are currently in custody. 248 have been granted bail, and 41 persons have been processed for court. So when it comes to the number of persons who have been arrested for defying the orders around this particular moment, we're looking at 406 persons, and you have 103 of them in custody. 41, which is very important, have been processed, and we'll be taking to court, I'm sure today or maybe tomorrow.
And as expected, Greater Accra has the highest number of violations with 161 arrests, followed by the Ashanti region with 70 cases. That's the update in terms of arrests and prosecution. And then the Communications Minister also came through with some good news for two of the major telecoms companies in Ghana, MTN and Vodafone.
Yes, so they've been giving free spectrum because around this time there's a lot of pressure on them. Many persons find themselves home, and one of the best ways for a lot of people is to resort to the internet. And so because of the pressure on the internet, they've been giving free spectrum for the next 3 months, according to the Communications Minister. But she's also advised all of us, Bamavi, that we should reduce the number of hours we spend, surfing on the internet if we have nothing to do. I'm sure that's something we'll try to see if we could, do so.
That's a call that the Telecoms Chamber has also made. I spoke to Mr. Kenashige sometime last week, but I was asking the question. I mean, there are a lot of people at home, and you want to engage yourself in something. People are online. That's where everybody is. The traffic is not on the streets. We find the traffic at home. If you're home, you'll be on your phone and you'll be surfing the net. So I wonder how seriously we can take that advice if anything could be done. I mean, can you stop downloading videos?
Well, maybe you should be watching a lot more TV, so you're better informed. You could be watching JoyNews. You'd be better informed. You could be listening to Joy FM as well, and get a very good, dose of music. Because the situation also is that the data comes at a cost, and so around this time, it's also important to make savings. If you're under lockdown, one of the things we would expect you go through is that as you're going through, you also should be able to save. If you're unable to save, it becomes problematic. Absolutely. But the good news is that the app that was actually launched yesterday has about 16,000 downloads already. So it's the GH COVID tracker app, and it says that so far 100 persons, by virtue of filling questions, have symptoms that looks like COVID-19, which would interest health professionals. And so according to the Communication Minister, should be making this available to health professionals to actually go into it.
All right, so 16,000 downloads, 100 of them have symptoms that look like COVID-19. Sure. Minister assures that they're going to give forward those cases over to the Ghana Health Service, and also talks about the fact that they are not touching your personal details because they don't even have names.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about a very important subject, which is stigma. And I'm happy that this was also talked about. We have Dr. Ama Edwin, advisor, National Response Team, talking strongly about stigma. Winston.
Exactly, and she makes very important points because she starts by talking about, the fact that words do matter, and all of us have to play our part. And so she's been advising us on the do's and don'ts. For instance, that is important. You don't say, a COVID-19 person, but as we've always been taught, you say a person with COVID-19. And the idea is that, that is a proper way, a nicer way of saying it, and shows that you actually empathize with a person who's suffering that condition.
So we all have to practice that.
Yes,
what's the appropriate thing to say, Winston, again?
Yes,
what's
so the appropriate thing is a person with COVID-19.
A person with COVID-19.
Don't say COVID-19 person.
Okay.
And also do not say, for instance, that, he traveled and brought the disease, as many of us are saying. And she says, just say, he traveled and contracted the disease. Because around this time, words do matter.
Exactly.
The things you say really, really, really matters. And she's talked about, how we should be sharing accurate information. We shouldn't be sharing false information. We should empathize with people. People who find themselves in these situations, would expect a lot more love. And so we say that you could actually imagine how the person would feel if he or she were in that particular situation, and that you would empathize with the person. But there's one thing she talked about that got a lot of...
Is it the acronym?
Yes,
because I was going to ask you if you remember the acronym.
Yes, avoid touching men.
No, avoid men.
No, avoid men.
Yeah.
So she says avoid touching men.
Exactly.
So avoid touching your mouth, eye, and nose. So it's as simple as that. Just avoid touching your mouth, eye, and nose, and I'm sure you're good to go.
Avoid touching men. Okay, that's something that you should get used to. Avoid touching men. So build trust in our health system. People not coming forward and opening up on travel history because of stigma. We all have to be supportive. We're going to go to our Facebook page and get some comments on the Facebook page. People who have been watching via Facebook also commenting on Winston, it looks like you have to take the comments on Facebook.
Okay, so let me start with Gatti Promise that says, the radio stations that are supposed to educate people, a lot of those of them have been closed down. Okay, and let me see other comments. If you look at, okay, so Manuel says, okay, stop what you're saying because data is the base of all what, okay.
So people were having conversations even as the ministers and of course those who are addressing the press conference, and so you'd find that there are conversations, people commenting in real time as the briefing was ongoing. So this some of the reactions are in responses of what was going on at the briefing. We encourage you, just keep your comments coming through. But there was also some update on the ambulance service. Winston.
Yeah, so he's been talking about how the ambulance service has been working. If you look at the usage of about 235 of them in Kumasi, we're looking at 10 persons, 8 in the north, 1 case in the upper west region, and 2 in the upper east. But also because they would need some bit of assistance. He says that the ambulance service, even though the ministry, or even though a lot of Ghanaians have been making donations to the ambulance service, he talks about a particular case, from the upper east region to the northern region to the Kumasi and eventually to Accra, where the person was on oxygen. And so, what the information minister talked about some time ago, that we have mini ventilators, and so when people are in need of oxygen, they could be giving a clear case of that, as the CEO of the Ghana Ambulance Service, Professor Zachary, was addressing us.
We were also represented as a media. The GJA was there. Let's box that up with the Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister, Kofi Jamesi.
So, Mama V, around this time, one of the most important things is information and education. We've been talking about the need to educate people, and we've been talking about the need to have the media consistently helping in education process. And so what the GJA, the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, and PRINCPAG has decided to do, they've said that they run programs throughout the country except the OT region. And the idea is to get journalists to devote more time, more program time, and talk a lot more about issues to do with COVID-19, so to be able to educate people some more on these issues. And then the Chieftaincy Ministry has also talked about the role that the chiefs play in our societies. And so the fact that they've decided to ensure a lot more information goes to the public, and they'll be doing so also because the conversation has always been that how do we get people to hear these communications in their local languages, and the chiefs are a better place to do that for them.
Exactly. All right, there are some personal comments coming through. Somebody's asking, why not avoid touching women? Why is it men?